If we go back to view this whole document, we see up here there's a color palette. And I'm just going to take you through how you can create a color palette for yourself in your Adobe library so that it's accessible on any device you're using that has Adobe CC installed. If we go over here to CC libraries, it will open up any libraries you have. I have a whole bunch because I use these all the time for my branding projects. So you can use this plus sign here to create a new library, and I'm going to call this one Assignment 3 Demo. So within this area, you can drag and drop elements such as character styles and colors. And what I would suggest if you want to add your swatches to this color library is that you use this little plus tool down here. So I have a color selected. I have this little square selected, and I want to add that color to my library. So I'll just click on the plus sign and it says fill color. So I'm just going to add that. And now I have that in my library. I can go through and add this one. And now I have this swatch palette available to use throughout my document. I don't have to access it through swatches. I can just go into my library. Another thing I can do is if I have a series of texts that I'm really happy with their relationship and I want to be able to reuse those on my page, I can select the whole thing and drag it into my library like so. Then if I'm on a new page in my portfolio and I want to use that text all over again, I can go to my CC library and just drag that text onto the page. And now all of the fonts and their relationships with each other in terms of spacing are kept intact. And so I can use that on my page. That means I don't have to go in and change the fonts and the sizes for every single page. So you can also select a particular piece of text and add a character style. That's going to allow you to add, this would be like a title font or something. So if I went over here and I clicked on this character style, it's going to change it to that particular spacing and font. So in that way, if you have text throughout your document and you want to change it all to the same character style, instead of going through and individually selecting the text and then having to go into your character palette and change the font and the size and the kerning, you can just select the font itself, the piece of text itself, and go to your library and apply that character style, and it will automatically update it. All you'll need to do is just make sure that your spacing accommodates that. So I had to increase that a little bit. You see it has this little red box here. You just double click on the edge. It's going to increase the size of the text box to accommodate that text. So let's say this is one of my character styles, which I'm going to use. I can select it, click on the plus sign, go character style, and then on this piece of text, since I want it to be the same, I just click on the character style and it automatically updates it. Now let's say you have been testing out all your fonts and you're not really sure if you have the same fonts in the right places. You want to just go through and unify all of your text. You can use the type, find and replace font tool. So if I want to go through and take all of my Sophia Pro Bold and change that to the Noisite Grotesque black, I can do that here and go change all. And that is going to take all of the text that was formerly Sophia Pro and change it to the new font that I want. Now, of course, up here, I'm going to have to change this because we are no longer looking at Sophia Pro. We're looking at Noisite Grotesque. And now I have a font test, a specimen where I can look at and see what all of the letters look like and make sure that I'm happy with them. It has moved the typography into this space so I can preview that text, and it's changed all of the text that was formerly Sophia Pro into Noisite Grotesque. So you can also go through and change the other one if you're looking at a secondary font that you're using as an accent font. I just want to open up the swatches palette, and I don't know what yours looks like, but mine has all of these extra swatches that were previously being tested within this document, but I don't need them anymore. All I want is just the swatches that I have on this page that I'm planning to use. So one way to get rid of all the extra swatches is to go over into your menu here and go select all unused. That's going to look at your document and take all the unused colors that you previously had, and you can then just delete them. So now you're left with just these. If you're wondering what is the difference between the library and the swatch palette, The swatch palette is a place where you organize all the swatches that are in use. The library is where you keep the fonts and the colors that you're definitely going to be using. So this is kind of like the guiding document for my portfolio. Whereas in swatches, I might be testing a variety of different things. So I might change this one to a different shade of pink, for example. And I might be wondering, you know, like, should I use that throughout my document? So I might just add that swatch down here. So this is kind of like a testing ground, and it's also like a little bit of a control panel. So if you want to change your text, you can go over here to this formatting effects type area, and you can test that color there. This is for more if you aren't sure that something is going to become a part of your library, but you just want to test it out, then you would use the swatches palette here, and you can apply colors to different shapes like this. If you decide you don't want to use that color anymore, you can delete it from your swatch palette, but just be aware it's going to remove all of those items with something else. So you need to replace it with another color. I'm going to replace it with this mint color. And now you see everything that I had previously applied that other pink to has turned down to mint. So when you delete something from your swatch palette, it does remove it completely from the document. So you do need to select a replacement color for that as you're working. I'm just going to Control Z and go back to the way it was, like this. Within this, you'll see that there is some selectable objects, and then there's some things that can't be selected. To access those, you're going to need to go into the layers palette here. And you see I have organized my document with layers. So I have colors and graphics, which are sort of the background. So for example, this is a color that I want font to sit on top of. So it would naturally go into the colors and graphics layer. Then I have font testing in its own layer. And then I have this sort of background text, which is like the guidelines to each page as its own layer called text. And you see that it's locked. So if I unlock it, then I'm able to select that text and change it. So if you're trying to figure out how you can change out these color hex codes, then you would need to go into your layers and unlock the text, and then you could change it there. There's also this layer up here called notes. And this is turned off currently. So if we turn it on, you can see that there's a little paragraph here about how you can use this document. And I just put that there so you know that you can leave notes within your work for yourself or for other people, and just make sure that it's not visible in the document when you export it, because otherwise you'll end up with your personal notes all over the place. So I hope that is a clear and easy way to use this document, and you can begin to test your colors, to test your fonts, and to build up your personal portfolio library here.